just more proof about the way that he is building this program.
C.J. Wallace with the kickoff. The gold team won the toss and will receive. A windy evening here at Husky Stadium. That one virtually through the back of the end zone.
I'm excited to see, how they obviously Jedd Fisch is the commissioner of this draft, right? If you're thinking back there about your fantasy drafts, but he basically just kind of sat in his office by himself and placed all these guys on these teams. So kind of curious to see what kind of battles we see develop.
Elijah Brown will quarterback the first series of the Washington spring game. Considered the leader in the clubhouse to be the backup to Damon Williams Jr. this season. Damon Williams wearing purple tonight, or black, I guess, a no-contact jersey, but he's playing for the purple team, and we expect to see him for a quarter tonight. Here's the sophomore Stanford transfer, Elijah Brown, under center. Quade Carr with the carry, and the running back position, one thing that's wide open about the offense.
Yeah, and Quade Carr's really kind of been RB1 throughout the spring as we get a flag on our first play here. But I think he's taken advantage of a real opportunity with arguably the top 3 backs on this roster out for most of spring. The 2 transfers, Jaden Lamar, Trey Cooley, and then Jordan Washington with the unfortunate injury a couple weeks ago.
Legal hands to the face penalty, Brett.
Okay, let's see if we can take a look at. Oh, yeah, that happened right there as Trez Davis was in there trying to block. Was that Rylan Dillard-Allen?
Yes.
Yeah, RDA got a little too much edge on that first play. Now he's a dude that brings the juice to this defense, no question. Just gotta contain that just a little bit here early on.
It's a glorified scrimmage, but guys are amped.
They'll be tracking that, no question, though. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that costs you some serious yardage.
Brown on the rollout. Pass is caught by Justice Williams for a gain of a little over a yard.
Justice, one of only 3 receivers that you'll see tonight with actual production from a year ago. Just had a handful of catches. Again, a youthful group trying to replace the likes of Denzel Boston. Desmond Roebuck, the true sophomore, at 42 catches last year as a freshman. Got some great experience there. 7 touchdowns. They'll be counting on him in a big role, along with some real competition for some of those other spots.
Williams figures to be a wide receiver 3 candidate this season, as Brown's next pass is hauled in by returning tight end Decker DeGraff going into his junior season.
Boy, they relied on Decker DeGraff in a big way a year ago. 688 snaps, almost always on the field as part of these 11 personnel formations that you see so often here, which include 3 receivers, a running back, and a tight end. And I actually spent some time with Decker this summer. He was catching balls for Fernando Mendoza as Fernando was training down in Southern California for the draft. Fernando, the Heisman Trophy winner, actually just went through his first practice as a Raider at rookie minicamp.
Decker's from San Dimas, California. Here's some razzle-dazzle. That's Des Roebuck, the wide receiver who was going to chuck it long and then tucked and ran. He lost about a yard from the original line of scrimmage.
All right, let's get a look at this first little piece of trickery. Jedd Fisch is always in his bag, although he's not calling the plays here today. And that was a smart move by Desmond Roebuck. Again, just the discretion to take that down and not risk a turnover.
Devin Hyde, sophomore edge rusher, brought him down. And it's a 4th down here. The offense stays on the field. Here's Roebuck, over 500 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns last season. Over the middle, that pass is incomplete. 16 on 16. Williams, the intended target, and Ramon Adams Jr. in pass coverage.
Yeah, boy, there was not a lot available right there for Elijah Brown. That was a really nice defensive stand there for the purple team getting after it. Not a lot of places for Elijah Brown to go, and Adams Jr. with the breakup there.
By all accounts, Adams Jr.'s had a big spring. Figures to factor into the nickel cornerback position battle this season. Rashawn Clark is the penciled-in starter, but he's out with an injury.
Yeah, and that was one of the position groups, obviously, with Clark out, that Jedd Fisch had singled out as the kind of battles he's been watching throughout camp, along with receiver and edge rusher among those as well. Running back, of course, as we mentioned just a minute ago.
All right, here he is, Damon Williams Jr., rising star in the Big Ten. His first snap of the spring game is blown dead. A procedural penalty.
Yep, just a little too amped up here.
That's a false start on Team Purple.
Williams quarterbacking the purple team. Again, we expect to see him for the first quarter tonight, and he's actually going to become a play caller in the second quarter, we understand.
Yeah, so, you know, as he goes to the sidelines and usually talks to Coach Fish about what he wants, now he's going to get that from some of these younger quarterbacks, going to be trying to get in his ear like, hey, let's toss one deep, yeah? We'll see if Damon Williams will oblige with some of those requests.
Jake Flores is the center. Williams throws to the boundary, and he overshoots Rashid Williams going into his junior season.
Boy, Rashid Williams, you know, just 5 catches last year, but I think we could be in for a breakout season here for Rashid Williams. Coach Fish telling us this has been his best spring without question. He is a special player and will certainly factor into that competition, try to get on the field with Desmond Roebuck and company.
Williams broke his collarbone against UC Davis early last season. Shut down what he hoped was going to be a promising 2025 campaign. Second and long. Williams, a dart. That was intercepted. It was tipped and picked off by Dylan Robinson.
Dylan Robinson with a diving grab for the turnover. So these defenses have made a couple of big plays here early on. Let's take another look at this pass over the middle here, a little behind and off target as Williams was looking for Rashid Williams, but just a little behind him. The tips and overthrows, we got to get those, and the defense did here. No, you heard it. Tips and overthrows, that's it.
I thought it was just
It is a
echo.
familiar refrain throughout every college football sideline.
Well, it's a program that has a great recent track record of turning out professional defensive backs, and the coaching staff thinks Dylan Robinson is a future first-round pick. That pass is dropped for the gold team into the flat for Desmond Roebuck, and kind of like what we saw for much of the spring practices, the defense looked strong early.
Well, look, and that is generally the case here. There is, you know, a lot to be said for an aggressive mentality that defenses can rely on, more so than the precision of an offensive scheme to get things done. So you do see that often, but by the end of the spring here, you hope to see a little bit more cohesion and efficiency from an offense.
Quade Carr in at tailback. He's got the carry, stays between the tackles and is wrestled down. Good gain on second down there. Donovan Robinson Jr. with the tackle.
Yeah, and again, Carr, I think, was just such a great opportunity to, kind of plant his flag in that competition for carries as we get back into fall camp here in a couple of months. See if he can continue to take advantage of that. Has had some impressive moments throughout the spring, and it's kind of led that competition with Lamar and Cooley and Washington out.
Here's a blitz. Brown hangs in there looking for DeGraff. It's incomplete. Coverage by Rylan Dillard Allen, the guy they call Batman.
RDA is a stud, and he's really kind of coming into his own. I think that's what Ryan Walters was really saying when he was talking about RDA to us, just that he's really kind of being himself. He's naturally a leader. He plays with the edge, blessed with speed and acceleration. Biggest thing was he put on some muscle mass to really kind of compete now going into his sophomore year. I think you can kind of see that even from up here.
He's not the only guy in this program that
Jeez. I mean, they've gained over 600 pounds of muscle, according to strength and conditioning coach Tyler Owens. Also lost 400 pounds of fat. That is a big-time body composition change for this team.
A muffed punt return. Luke Dunn with the punt, and it held up there a long while for Mason James, who was unable to come up with it. And then it was recovered.
We got a score here. That's Dylan Robinson.
By Dylan Robinson, so a defensive touchdown opens the scoring in the Washington spring game.
I guess that's kind of fitting based off what we've seen from these defenses early on. They've been the ones making all the plays, and this was a tough one here. The wind, it is windy out here, and you got to think that that played into the equation for Mason James, who was unable to corral that. And then nice work, obviously, by Dylan Robinson, kind of letting that ball get into the end zone before he recovered it.
Here's the point after try for Tyler Robles. Special teams units underwent quite a bit of change for Washington this season. Robles splits the uprights. 7-0 lead for Gold.
Obviously, we're seeing plenty of Australians and kind of get into punting and that sort of thing. Like we've seen some real evolution in the specialist game over the last couple of years.
There's Jamie Clark, the men's soccer team's head coach, wearing a headset. That's something that soccer coaches typically don't do on the sidelines in their own games, but he's the honorary head coach for the Gold team here today. Got to put on a headset, got to play the part.
Is there a coach-to-player communication today? I mean, I'd love to hear the soccer coach in Damon Williams is here.
Any green dots, perhaps? That was X-Ray Alexander on the fair catch on the kick return.
240-pound X-Ray Alexander. All right, sure. Playmaker.
I did read an article where, because the kick return position is wide open this season, someone put in a prompt to ChatGPT, who's most likely to return kicks for Washington this season, and the answer came up, X-Ray Alexander. So maybe there's more.
There's more to it, no question. LA Bowl MVP, 7 tackles and an interception. He's up to almost 240 pounds. I think he's going to be a real stud for what is probably one of the strengths of this team in that linebacker core, which we'll get into.
On the ground, this is Ryken Moon, the son of NFL Hall of Famer Warren Moon, and that's a good carry, finished off by Jacob Manu at the end of that first down run.
Love the legacies for Warren Moon. What a stud. Absolute rifle on that right arm. Great to see his son here carrying on the Husky tradition.
Ryken went to Bellevue High School on 2nd and short. Incomplete, looking for Mason James.
Well, really good protection is kind of what I've seen here so far, especially on the purple team in front of Damon Williams. He's just been a little bit off target here. And, if you go back to last year as a full-time starter, he was deadly accurate from the line of scrimmage to 10 yards downfield. That's where the majority, completed almost 80% of his passes in that area of the field, just could not connect there.
Led comeback wins against Rutgers and Maryland through 4 touchdowns, ran for another in a huge win against Illinois. Carry on 3rd down and short, and the first down sign given. That was Ryken Moon on the carry again. Here's your point about the completion percentage for Damon Williams.
Boy, Will Rogers, in that first year with Jedd Fisch, really did a nice job early in the year, and then Damon Williams took over. And then last year, he completed nearly 70% of his passes. I think I'd really like to see that accuracy more consistently pushing the ball down the field going into this year. We'll see how that develops here throughout spring and then once we get into fall.
Into the flat, pass is caught by Mason James, true freshman from the heart of Sooner country, Norman, Oklahoma. He's had some high-level catches in spring practice.
Yeah, no question. Another guy that the coaching staff has singled out to us. Jedd Fisch says he's going to have a great career, big role in the game here. Dez has kind of taken him as his understudy, kind of right under his wing, Desmond Roebuck. But boy, a better block from Jordan Clay at the point of attack, and that one might have gone for some distance. Ooh, another one. Just off target here, Chris.
Looking for Jordan Clay that time. 3rd down.
And again, this area of the field, and even when his feet are on the move, this is generally an area where Damon Williams has been really good. Again, just a little bit off target here to get things going. And, part of this is, again, you're splitting these teams up, right? And so he's throwing to some guys that, maybe not traditionally, or maybe not traditionally, but maybe not that have been, within the 1s and 2 groups that he's been working with over the course of spring. So getting that chemistry together is part of this as well.
Okay.
Oh, let's go, Chris.
This is one of the play calling quirks because the soccer coaches are the honorary head coaches for the game today. Each coach has the opportunity to hand out a red card and disqualify a player of their choosing from the game for one play. So The gold team, coached by men's head coach Jamie Clark, has given Damon Williams Jr. a red card, so he has to sit out for this play.
Well, it's a no quarterback? Like, what are we doing?
It's 11 on 10.
So Baron Naoni is going to be the QB for this play, the tight end? This is a dream come true.
Just a crafty move by Jamie Clark.
Oh, a deep shot, too. Let's go. Oh, no, and it's picked off.
Intercepted by Paul Mankey Jr. Now, there is a flag on the play. If this play stands, I mean, a coaching stroke of genius by Jamie Clark.
Just put him in the Hall of Fame after that. I didn't know that they were going to be able to pick the exact player that they could take out. Like, that is genius. I think we're going to get some PI here down the field.
Vince on the call. Oh, on offense.